Well, here we are. Thursday, January 26th, 2023. I'm Larissa. It's time to drink from skulls. So, yesterday, I just couldn't take it anymore. Brody stunk so bad. And it's been, a number of days. And he found a carcass somewhere out there on the property and was rolling in it regularly, like to get stink all over him. And there were crispy chunks and like it was. Oh. So, speak of the dirt ass, and he will appear. Hey, you! Did you get your butt trimmed? Huh? Did you have too many sticks and tree saps in your butt? They had to trim your furs off, huh? Now you got to go outside on a leash for a couple days so that at least you stay clean for a couple days. You gonna leave that carcass alone? Hey, Mister, you gonna leave that carcass alone? You gonna stay away from the carcass? Are you gonna stay away from carcass? Are you gonna stay away from the carcass? Oh my gosh. The carcass. I don't even know what kind of carcass it is. All I know is it was carcass. And it stunk. And he stunk. But now he is clean. Thank you. To the very accommodating ladies at Who's Your Groomer. Brody, did you give him trouble? Did you give him troubles? Did you give him troubles? Huh? Did you give him troubles? I'm sure he did. Then, after that, he had his first trip to PetSmart because we were out of dog food. Omar texted me. He's like, oh, we're also out of dog food. So I was like, oh, he's all clean. And we'll get to go try something new. Hey, Brody, did you go to PetSmart yesterday? Was it your first time? Oh my gosh, was it? Was it your first time? Hey, come on up. Hey, Mr. Brody. Hey, did you go to PetSmart? Did you see the doors that open and close by themselves? Huh? Did you see them? Did you see them? And we're like, whoa. Did you see other dogs? Did you hear other dogs bark? And were you like, hey, you're being rude? Huh? Did some strange lady give you pets? Did you like it? Yeah? You got pets from strange lady? It was so good. It was so good. And he saw all the toys. I took him and walked up and down all the toy aisles, and he was like, looking back and forth. And he went over and he sniffed and sniffed. It was real good. I told him, I said, if you pick one up, Mama will buy it for you. And he didn't. He just sniffed and looked. He didn't pick. He looked at me and he's like, no, I don't need any new toys. But he was excited to see where they came from. He saw all the toys at the PetSmart. Yeah, he sniffed. But he didn't touch anything. Even when around the treats and stuff, like he didn't even sniff at them. He was really good. But he was like looking all around. And then at one point, he starts trying to herd me. He's like trying to walk in a circle around me in the buggy. I'm like, oh my God, Brody. I said, Brody, we're safe. And he shook his head no at me. I said, don't you tell me no, because he does. He'll say no to me. I said, Brody, Mommy's safe. And he said, no. He started tapping in a circle around me like, you don't need to herd me. It was so funny. So funny. Tell the people at work, I said, it's his first time. And the guy at the counter, he's like, because Brody was starting to get a little anxious. We'd been in there a little while, and he was starting to get a little anxious. And I kept saying, stop. And he wasn't stopping. And the guy's like, I have treats. I'm like, no. That I do not want to reinforce this behavior. And the guy laughed. Yeah. No, I don't give him a treat for being naughty. No, that's not how that works. But he was very good. You were very good, huh? Were you very good? Were you very good at PetSmart? Were you very good? Were you? Did you try to herd Mommy? Did you walk around a circle trying to keep me safe? Did you walk around me in a circle trying to keep me safe? It was so funny. He was walking around in a circle, like staring everybody down. Don't come near my Mommy. And the lady works there. She's like, yeah, I got a big one like that too. You a big dog, Brody? Yeah, you are. You're not a medium-sized dog, buddy. You're a big dog. You're a big dog. He is. He is. He's 75 pounds. He's a big dog. Anyway. I got an unsigned birthday card from someone. I think it's from my mother-in-law. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the bullshit harassment is coming from her and people at the Watsonville Nursing Center. Right? Somebody there gave her an iPad or something. And so she has access to troll me online. And she made some comment on my, on Google at me, and I removed it. And I'm not sure. I don't trust her. Like, there's always an angle. Like, she's trying to get something from me, right? And I think she had something to do with the paintings that were stolen, right? Because Omar has power of attorney for her finances, and so, like, her bank account, he manages all of that. It's all separate. All of her stuff is separate. We don't touch anything. All of her money that she gets, all of her Social Security and stuff, all of it goes to the nursing home, right? I think there was just a couple bucks left over, but it's still in her, that's still in the account. And that gets, if she needs shoes or clothes or whatever, like, she gets that money, right? Like, and it's nothing. It's not, we don't take anything from her. We are not her other two sons, right? We don't take anything from her. But she says, 22 years that I've been married to her son. She has just been horrible to me. And she has, at one point, when we first moved out to California, she opened up credit cards I had a studio, an art studio. It was a classroom in an old elementary school that was no longer being used as an elementary school. I had a studio. She used that address and opened credit cards. And I was getting calls from credit. She used all of that information, the phone number and everything. She used that to open credit cards. And I was getting calls from creditors. I had a couple studio mates. They were getting phone, because we shared the phone. They were there getting the call. Somebody got real nasty with the one woman the one time, with Pam Fierro. And oh my God, Pam's like, is your mother-in-law's name Sheila? I'm like, yes. So when we got her stuff out of storage, because we just couldn't afford to keep her stuff in storage anymore, right? And I had to go through stuff because there were boxes literally of just garbage. When they had packed up her apartment in Alameda, like, it was a biohazard. I'm sure it was. There was poop on stuff, and like, she shit herself regularly. She shit herself at my house. There was poop on my floor. There was poop in my dining room. And so we quit. I quit letting her come in the house because she'd come over on Sundays for dinner. We'd have, and we quit having dinner in the house. We'd have dinner out on the back patio. And she wet herself. She went to the bathroom out there too. That time we called 911 because I turned to Omar because she like collapsed down on the table. And now I think she was just embarrassed when it happened. But we called 911. I said, I think your mom is having a stroke or something here. And they came and they got her in the ambulance. And they took her to the hospital, and she was this big mess. And she messed the bed at the hospital. And the hospital, I remember the nurse was being like, you messed yourself here. And she was like, no, I didn't. And we're like, we're all sitting there. You can smell it. You can see it. And she's telling us. And they took off her shoes, and she had these big, long toenail claws. And I'd been trying to get her for months and months and months to go get manicure, pedicure with me. And she refused and said that I was, that I should be doing my own. And she did hers while she wasn't doing hers. And it's just hygiene, and she doesn't take care of herself. Oh. But when I was going through her stuff in storage, she had like she had medical orders for things, right? Like for tests and things. They were all in my name. So she was going to the doctor and telling them that she was me, right? And then there was letters between her and some woman named Maria. I don't know who this woman was, but there was correspondence. Because it was in her hand, stuff was in her handwriting and things. And this woman was corresponding back with her. And again, using my name. So I don't trust her. And she tells lies, like tells people that we have, more than what we have. She used to tell people she had more than what she had. She was always like telling people she was rich, and she wasn't. Right? And telling people that we're rich and we're not. And so it's her handwriting on this card, but it was postmarked in San Jose, and she's in Watsonville. So what I'm thinking is that she's got some little scam going on. She's got some little scam going on with either people who work there or family members of somebody else who's a resident there, right? Because we had her in assisted living for a while. Oh, we got her into assisted living. They kicked her out, basically, is what happened, right? Because she wouldn't wear underwear, and she was messing herself, and she wouldn't bathe and stuff. She has dementia, and because she was never dirty. She was never a dirty person, right? Like that was something that came with the dementia. Anyway, she was trading her belongings, right? And I'm guessing it was for booze and or drugs, because that's her thing, right? And when she was in, Omar got her an apartment. She could have had an apartment that was close to us, but no, it wasn't new enough. She had to have a new apartment. And so we found her this apartment in Watsonville. That's how she ended up in Watsonville. And she was buying beer on credit in a bookie room, in a cigar shop bookie room, right? Found that out. And somebody, there was like stuff in her apartment for like diabetic stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't know what all she got herself into, but it's always trouble. It's always trouble. So I don't want her anywhere near me. And I'm guessing probably some of this stuff has to do, the break-ins and the dead mutilated animal, because there's always some like little Latina woman with a camera following me around, like the nurses at that place. So move the furniture around in here since I got my studio now. Most of my studio, still got the flat file over there, but got most of my studio over in the new space. Be able to rearrange the furniture in here. This room is so much better now. So much better. And when I moved the furniture, all of the hair and the dust and the dirt, oh my God, it was literally a grocery bag full of yucca-poo. So gross. So gross. But yeah, I moved the piano all by myself. I moved the piano. The piano was over there. Now it's over there. The desk is there. I had originally put the desk over there, but there was not an appropriate plug. So I moved the desk back, which was very difficult, and I hurt myself doing it. Hey, Brody. Brody. I see your butt, buddy. I see you. I see you. I see you. Yeah. And when I was in the middle of doing that, he kept on trying to stick his carcass stinking face in my, like he's, up in my face. I just couldn't take it anymore. That's when I called the groomer and they were like, can you get him here right now? I'm like, yes. So he did. He got a bath. Because he was a dirt ass. Not anymore, though. He's not a dirt ass now. They had to trim all his feathery feathers off his bum because they were all full of sticks and pine cones and tree sap and who the hell knows what else. Anyway. Oh, and I've still been watching the basketballs. I'm back to watching the Warriors, I did. It's better than watching soap operas, I guess. Or game shows. Anyway. Oh, these shootings out here in California. I'm watching those stuff too. And it's interesting. It is. Like the one that happened at the dance school. When I worked at the city of Sunnyvale, one of the things I did, well, my job, I was the performing arts coordinator there for a while. And there was we had a big ballroom dance program that was run. It was called Shall We Dance. It was run by an Asian American man named Bud Ayers, right? And his wife. And very nice couple. And, it was a public program, right? So you couldn't play the games. Like they said that shooting was spurned over jealousy over invitation to a party. Well, what were they talking about? So in the ballroom dance community, like you have a session of classes, right, that you come to, and then there's the event, the party event, and they happen on a regular basis. And an invitation to the party is to do a showcase, right? You get to showcase a dance with a partner or whatever. And there's costumes and everything that go with it. Otherwise, everybody that comes to the party has to buy a ticket to get in, right? So they said this guy was mad, was jealous that he wasn't invited, which means that he was part of the community and he was not asked to do a showcase. That's what that said to me. So that's, the way, if I remember correctly, the way Bud and his wife did it was like people that were students didn't do showcase, right? It was only teachers did showcase, and everybody else was on equal footing, right? Everybody had to pay to get in because it was a city program, right? So that was eliminated, that whole, because there's a whole culture here in the Bay Area around that, or in California in particular, and it's an extremely popular pastime within the Chinese American community here in California, ballroom dancing. Mm-hmm. So that's how that happened. And I can only imagine, I'm not saying that what he did was right. I'm not saying, I'm just not at all. But I can have an understanding of where that anxiety came from, particularly coming out of the pandemic, and people being locked in their houses, and so this inclusion, this feeling of being included in a community, particularly something that's so popular, right, within your cultural sphere, how that could be blown out of proportion, right? A lot of people just, it's hard, like reintroducing, everyone reintroducing themselves back into society, and people still being really afraid, like watching the basketballs, and they talk about somebody's out with a non-COVID illness. You know, it's like, I really don't care whether it's COVID or not. Just somebody's out there not well. But now, like, there's this, I don't know. Yeah. So, and the state is using it as a way to push through stricter gun laws, and it doesn't stop gangsters from having guns. And gang shootouts happen all the time, right? Drive-bys and stuff, and kids getting shot in their houses and stuff. You know, that happens all the time. You know, you just don't hear about them all the time, right? It happens all the time out here. And so they're going to use these horrible incidents, right? And it's the same thing with this other one, this guy that shot the farm workers, and they're saying that he at one point threatened somebody at a restaurant. Well, there again, both of those labor groups in California, they're very tight-knit communities, and there's a lot of gossip and stuff that happens, and they are both heavily employ migrant workers, and it's a whole other like culture, right? Irrespective of whatever country they have come from, whether it's Mexico or some other Central or South American country, or other countries, right? Because he said that people that he shot were Asian and Hispanic. A lot of Asian people working in the farm working community as well, right? A lot of Chinese and Laotian people, and Cambodian, Laotian and Cambodian, and Vietnamese people, Korean people. So, you know, I'm left with more questions. Because the guy was he was turning himself in. He was apprehended in the sheriff's parking lot. He wasn't running away. He was going to turn himself in, right? That's what that says to me. You know, he did this, and then he went to the sheriff's station, turn himself in. So I just have more questions. There again, like, I'm not condoning killing people, and I have questions. Saying it was a workplace dispute. I'm curious because there are mushroom farms, right? And there's now there's a lot of magic mushrooms out here, right? That's become even more popular, particularly in the past like 5 years, and they've been talking more about using microdosing of psilocybin for psychiatric disorders, right? Particularly prolonged depression, right? So there's been a lot more. You've been seeing a lot more of those on the street recreationally, and it was just before we moved out, or just after we moved here. There was a big bust in Oakland on the street that we used to live on. It was. I remember it was like, whoa! I didn't even know. Like, that was just. It was just down the street from where we lived. There was a like a couple $1 million magic mushroom bust, right? So I wonder about that too. Like, was there some sort of, was something not sitting right with this man's sensibilities? I don't know. I just have so many more questions. Whatever. They'll use it. They'll use it to try to push through stricter gun regulation. Like, that's really going to stop anyone who wants to have a gun and use it, right? I don't own a gun. I don't want a gun. If I wanted one, I could go get one. I'm sure I could. I could just take a little day road trip over to Nevada and buy one, right? If I wanted a gun. that bad, that quick, right? What are they going to do? Set up checkpoints on the highway and start checking people's cars coming back between states? Yeah, that's how that works. I mean, there are no gun shops in the city of Oakland, and or ammunition shops, either one. You can't buy guns or ammunition legally in Oakland. And that does not mean that there aren't lots of guns in Oakland. No. So I'm not sure. Not sure what the laws are really about. It's just political stuff, right? It's just political. It's politicking. Somebody who really wants to kill somebody else, you can't, what can you really do to prevent that? Not much. Not much. Police can't even do anything about the stalking that I'm dealing with, huh? Tell me there's nothing they can do about it. Oh, okay. See, I'm not even 100% sure exactly who it is because, like, the person that threatened me, the person Omar and I separated for 6 months 10 years ago, right? And I dated someone who turned out to be a real piece of work. And he threatened me. He threatened me. He told me that he would make sure that I never forgot about him, and that anywhere that me or my family was, that he would find us. That he had people all over the United States. He would not let us live in peace. So I don't know. I don't know if this is him or my mother-in-law or a combination of the two, right? Her being shitty. All I know is that it's really, really, really obnoxious. And I don't want anything to do with either of those people. Right? Gun violence isn't the only kind of violence that's out there. And I don't agree with Gavin Newsom when he says that California, that the United States is the only place you see this kind of violence. And no, that's not true. Look at Africa. There's lots of places in Africa. Lots of places in the Middle East. Right? Syria, Ukraine. It's just politics. Politics. Politics.